the painting that refused to be, or how I've tried twice now to paint a specific piece and wound up twice with entirely different paintings that turned out to be better than what I originally imagined. Hello, I'm Elise, enchantment artist, book designer, and creator of the Starlight Journal, Starlight Collective, the Create Journal, and the Starlight Emporium Magazine. And today I wanted to tell you a little story about my life as a creative artist and about how sometimes you get better than what you set out to get, even though it's not what you intended. So, 3 years ago, I basically just wanted to get myself a nice, pretty coffee mug to start my mornings with inspiration and beauty. And I wanted it to say, "Good morning, gorgeous," in gold scripty letters. Yes, that's a little bit basic, so sue me. And I wanted it to have pretty watercolor florals as well. So I scoured the internet, including all of the handmade shops on Etsy, and I basically found nothing that was what I was actually looking for. So, as very often happens, I basically landed on, well, I guess I'll just have to make this thing myself. So I started sketching. And I basically determined from those sketches that really before I did this, I needed to learn and watch some tutorials and practice and get better at painting flowers. And so I worked on all of that, and then life happened and I put the thing on the shelf, and it stayed on my to-do list, but I never really even was concerned about it. And then finally last spring, at a creative gathering that was meant to celebrate spring with creativity, I decided to pull that project back out, and I began again to paint the florals and the flowers and the greenery. But as I continued to add the flowers and the greenery, I was turning the page and changing the angle and all of that. And as I turned it sideways, a whole different image sort of began to emerge in my imagination. And so I kind of just went with it. And the final image that emerged was this really beautiful, flowery goddess portrait. And so I named the painting Gaia. And then, because I needed a cover for my Create journal that I was publishing, and because what could possibly be a better cover for a Create journal than the mother of all creation, I put the Gaia painting on the cover. And thus the Create journal was born, created, what have you. So, it turned out that I didn't know it, but I needed a journal cover a lot more than I needed a coffee mug design. And like I said, I didn't know that, but inspiration apparently did. So then, with the journal launched and done, and the collective that goes with it launched and done, I decided to try and finally cross that coffee mug design off of my to-do list. So I started again with the flowers and the greenery. And this one just didn't quite look right at the angle that I was doing it. And so strangely it happened again, because remembering what had happened the first time, I was just like, well, maybe this isn't going to be the coffee mug design, but maybe it can be something else. So I flipped it around and changed it and looked at it from all these different angles, trying to figure out what else it could be. And when I finally turned it upside down was when an image of a mask started to emerge. And so that painting, I continued to kind of just go with the inspiration for it, and that painting turned into a painting that I titled The Mask of Dawn. And so that piece wound up being pretty obviously perfect for the spring issue of the Starlight Emporium magazine. But I really wanted to make that interactive and give the audience a chance to participate, and so I designed a few different cover designs, and I did like an audience poll, and the Mask of Dawn cover won kind of far and away. So the first issue of the Starlight Emporium is brand new, just came out on March 21st on the spring equinox, and it features the second painting from when I tried to do a coffee mug design and wound up with a beautiful, in-depth, meaningful painting. So twice it happened, and both of the paintings that I wound up with, I never would have decided to do on my own. I never would have had the idea just for them themselves. It was almost like I needed that smaller idea to bridge the gap, but then once I got into it and started painting, it developed on its own and became its own way cooler thing, honestly. So 2 beautiful paintings, still no coffee mug design. And as I was sort of reflecting on that and writing up my March blog post, which is always the story of like how the artwork feature came to be, the artwork feature for March was the Gaia painting, and I was doing that alongside working on the actual Emporium magazine launch. And so I kind of realized like, oh, wait a minute, these 2 paintings have something in common, and it's that silly coffee mug design that I still haven't done. So I wrote the blog post kind of featuring both of them, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to actually do that painting, the coffee mug design. So I sat down last week and finally have completed the simple, basic painting. So look for that to be available on coffee mugs and towels and a bazillion other things on Society 6 very shortly. Thank you for being here.